All right, and welcome back to the Committee on Innovation, Development, Economic Advancement, and Business. I will call to order a work session for LD1977, an act to ensure a consumer's right to repair certain electronic products. All right, so this is our second work session on this bill. Sam, would you like to just maybe sort of overview of where we're at?
Sure. So we had a work session where there was quite a bit of information presented to the committee regarding this bill. We reviewed testimony. We reviewed some of the potential issues with the bill. We talked about the fact that other states, many other states have considered or are currently in the process of still considering very similar legislation. We reviewed some of the language in the definitions around motor vehicles and talked about whether or not the bill as drafted would include certain types of motor vehicles. We talked about the Digital Millennium Copyright Act and the Magnuson-Moss Act, as well as some considerations around privacy, security, and safety. The committee had talked about the idea of limiting this bill to a much narrower focus, and the committee members have in front of you an amendment that is offered by Representative Handy, and that amendment would limit the applicability of the bill to cell phone screens. You also have on your desk,
And that is, I will just say, this is a white sheet of paper.
Usually I usually have different colors, but I was having trouble getting the highlighting to show up, and I wanted you guys to be able to see that. So you also have in front of you an opinion from the Attorney General's office, and they took a look at the bill, and I would say that is the bill as originally drafted. And if you'll see on the back, I think the most important language is on the back. So the Attorney General's office notes that there is some potential friction around the language around trade secrets. So as written, the bill states that the bill cannot be construed to require an original equipment manufacturer to divulge a trade secret, but some of the other language in the bill might seem to potentially contradict that, so that could be a potential concern. They note that I think because this is new and other states have not enacted similar legislation, the bill appears to be legally defensible, but it's hard to predict what could come up with in any potential litigation.
Okay.
So, if it helps, I will go through the amendment because there's quite a bit of changes here.
Sure. Great. Thank you.
So, in the first page on the definition section, we've eliminated a few of the definitions because they were relevant if the bill applies only to screens. So we also eliminated the department. So after some further discussion, it was believed that the department, DECD rather, maybe is not the best owner of this, and that enforcement would instead fall to the AG's office. So digital electronic equipment, that definition has been eliminated as too broad. Embedded software is no longer an issue if we're just talking about screens, so that definition is no longer there. Fair and reasonable terms, so the language there is just changed so that it reflects that we're not talking about digital electronic equipment writ large and instead only talking about screens. So on the second page, again, anytime we're talking about digital electronic equipment, that has been crossed out, and parts or the reference to screens only has been used. Under independent repair provider, again, just making sure that we're mentioning only cell phones or mobile telephones as they're defined, and not equipment. Mobile telephone is defined. Original equipment manufacturer, again, the reference is just narrowed. Same with owner. Service parts has been eliminated as it is no longer relevant. Under trade secret, I just changed the in effect year from 2019 to 2020. I just caught that when I was going through it. That probably should have been changed before. Right to repair, again, limited to mobile phone screens. So most of these changes are just changing reference language so that it refers only to mobile phone screens. Under the requirement for original equipment manufacturers to make diagnostic and repair information, limiting that to mobile phone screens. And it is, I would just note that the language is repair or replacement of, to make sure that it's not, once the screen cracks, you're generally talking about a replacement. So I wanted to make sure that that language was clear, that would cover replacement of screens. At the bottom, there's some language previously that had referenced sale of equipment used for security-related functions. That's no longer relevant if you're just talking about screens, so that language has been removed. Under notification to owners, those changes are, again, just references. Duties of the department at the bottom has been eliminated because of eliminating the DCD's role in this. And that is it. So in terms of, there have been a lot of discussion over whether or not typically a replacement of a screen would void the warranty. So, and I think that the best answer is not in and of itself, but if the repair by an unauthorized repair is done badly or causes any damage, even if minor, or even if barely notable, that could void the warranty. So I think there's kind of a fine line there that we're walking. So I hope that's helpful. And,
Thank you, Mr. Seneft. Yes, questions from members of the committee? Representative Moriarty.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As I think most folks on the committee know, and perhaps the public does not, I am a retired attorney, which means that I bring some baggage with me to my service in this committee. One of my pet peeves is that the title to legislation ought to correspond closely with the body of the legislation itself, and so the title would imply something far broader than the modified text suggests. And so I just offer the suggestion for the sake of accuracy and fairness and disclosure to the public that the proposed new bill be retitled to state right to repair or replace mobile telephone screens.
that is in a change we could make, yeah.
Could you repeat that again, Representative Moriarty?
Yes.
Thank
In lieu
you.
of right to repair electronic equipment, I would delete that and substitute right to repair or replace mobile telephone screens.
Representative Handy.
On its surface, I don't have a problem with that change. It's my understanding the title of a bill is not included in the statute. Is that correct?
Correct.
And it's more cosmetic.
Yeah, we can, so you can change the title on an amendment, but the bill itself, right, that wouldn't appear in the actual language of the, although actually, you know what, we do have a chapter title here, so right to repair electronic equipment, so in this case, actually, that should probably be changed. So both the title of the bill as well as the chapter title.
Say, in my experience, I think it is a good idea to change the title so it more reflects what's really going on in the content of the amendment, because we are in a very different place than where this bill started, and I think it's important that that's reflected and there's no misunderstanding around that. Representative Stetkis.
Thank you. So Sam, in your research of the warranty when it comes to replacing screens and that sort of thing, in there, did you find anything that actually restricts the replacement of cell phone screens currently?
So I did look at Apple's warranty language, and it's very kind of it's very kind of finely written so that it doesn't say that replacing the screen will void the warranty. It does say that if you use parts that are not going to work appropriately, or if you damage the device in any way, that could void the warranty. So it doesn't in and of itself say that if you replace this screen with a non-authorized dealer, that voids the warranty. It doesn't say that. But it does say if you mess this up, during your replacement, or if you use a part that's not quite right, that could void the warranty.
Just follow up. on that.
Follow up.
So this bill, the way it's written, doesn't only apply to Apple products, correct?
Correct, yes. I was
Okay,
using
so
that
have
as
you
an
looked
example.
at any of the other ones as well?
I didn't, but I can do that and send it out to the committee if that's helpful.
Okay, because this, I mean, if we're targeting one particular company, maybe the bill title ought to represent that as well. So we probably ought to get the.
I don't think, I was
get
going to
all
say,
the
is,
information.
Mr. Seniff, is there anything in this bill that is just concerning one company? Because that is not
Well,
what I'm
the information he's
reading it.
providing is just for one company, so I'm
Okay.
asking for more information from other companies. Sure.
Okay, yeah.
Yep.
I can look at the largest companies and email that out to the committee with the relevant
Oh,
warranty
great,
language.
thank you. Yeah. Senator Guerin.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, I'm glad to hear that information you found, Sam, that as long as the phone isn't damaged, that is replaced by Apple, and I would be interested in hearing, as Representative Stetkis asked, from the other companies to make sure that is true, and that would really, I think, make this bill unnecessary, as long as that proved true. A couple other things that I had been thinking about since the last time we met on this bill was a possibility of, because it seemed to be a lot of concern that people couldn't get their regional repairs done that they wanted on their, and now it would be just on screens. So maybe we could send a letter to DECD and ask for their help in getting independent repair shops certified by the national phone distributors, so that could be a positive, entrepreneurial
Yeah.
aspect that our committee could encourage. And the final thing I was going to bring up was the note from Attorney General Fry on the fiscal note. I think we would, before I could vote on this, I would really want to hear an opinion on now the changed bill, and if he still thinks that would be a possibility of litigation, and then what the litigation he thinks it would be specifically, and the cost of that to the state to enter into that, where 22 other states have killed this bill in committee. I think that litigation, we would be carrying that burden all by ourselves, and so could be quite costly.
I will pass that on to the AG's
Yeah,
office.
we can get that. I mean, I think, again, I know you guys keep sort of saying this 22 states thing, but I think the bill what we're talking about right here is very different than what is being, tossed around in 22. So I just want to be clear about the conversation that we're having here. I want to make sure we're really talking about, the same things. I think what I will also say is that I've had the chance to talk to a couple of different people who actually provide this service in smaller communities in Maine, which has been very interesting to sort of get their thoughts on the bill. And I had sort of asked, I said, well, what does it look like to have to become an independent repair provider for these different companies? Well, is that practical? Are there barriers there? Just because in this committee we look at licensure requirements and things like that. So, what does this look like? And what I heard from several different people that provide this kind of service is that it's actually very costly, usually, and you have to do it for each individual company. And then once you sort of go through that, you don't have the autonomy that you had prior to, you don't get to sort of operate your own business in a small town in Maine that fixes screens. Like when I break my watch, I go and I get the screen replaced. I actually go see Peter Rio in Winterport, who used to serve in the legislature, who fixes my screen for me. It's great because I bang it into things all the time. And so it's been interesting in my conversations with these business owners in small towns in Maine who now are providing a service to fix just screens. Again, that's all we're talking about, right? And I wonder if, I would encourage any of you to really talk to people that are already providing this service, because I think there is a lot to be learned there. It sounds like to me the real issue that we're talking about here is when you replace this screen, if it voids your warranty or not, right? And how far we want to go here. I think that I'm of the opinion that this seems like an opportunity for Maine business owners in small towns to get a living for themselves, right? And to provide a good service in a timely manner to people that live that can't don't have the time or the resources to drive down to Portland to do this, particularly with how connected we are to these things nowadays. I, for one, would never want to put anybody at a disadvantage, and that is certainly not my intention here, but I feel like there might be room here for us to find something that we can do so folks in our smaller communities may be able to receive a service to get their phone screen fixed. I was going to say, Representative Perry was just telling us today that he had the option. He got a new phone. The screen broke immediately. He had the option of driving to Portland and making an appointment, or he had to mail it away, and that was going to take over a week. Or he could go to the guy in Bangor who charges $69 to replace a screen for him. But then he said, which he decided to do because he's got a family and he's a business owner, he's in the legislature. So he went and he paid the $69 and he got his screen fixed, and then his battery stopped working, or the whatever how he charged his phone. What?
Thunderbolt port.
His Thunderbolt port stopped working, but he had voided his warranty because he had got the screen replaced. And it's amazing how many Mainers I've heard from who find themselves in this situation, and I would like to think that we could find some kind of a compromise here. That we could give an opportunity for people who are doing this work in Maine to exist and provide a good service to people in their community. But at the same time, we want to do this in a way that is not problematic, or doesn't put anybody at a business disadvantage. So I'm just trying to sum up sort of what is going on here. Was that accurate? Representative Moriarty.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think that is quite accurate, and I certainly share your desire to achieve a compromise and
Yeah.
so forth that's reasonable and workable. I would raise a yellow flag in my capacity as a retired attorney that a warranty may be part of a contract between a manufacturer and a consumer.
Right.
And we may not have the ability to interfere with the terms of that contract. I would suggest that, assuming we're not going to take action today, that this be sent back to the Attorney General
Yep.
with obviously a much narrowly phrased question and issue to
I think
get
that's right.
his input on that point, because I would be reluctant to support something that could just, open the gates for a warranty breach type action.
And I feel like I can say with confidence that nobody on this committee wants to have that happen, or something that would cause great financial stress to the University of, to the state of Maine over something like this. So thank you for that. I would second that. Sam.
I would also, I think as this is drafted right now, I don't think it quite gets to
Okay.
the warranty question.
Yep.
I think if the intent of the committee was to say that replacing a screen would not void the warranty, I think there are issues that
Yep.
would need to be, the Attorney General's office would need to look at.
Yep.
So I can send this to them. I can also raise the separate question, if we were to add language
Yep.
like that, what concerns would the Attorney General's office have
Yep.
about that? I think that's
Does that seem
kind of an
accurate
additional
to sort of
question.
get at what we're sort of talking about right now? Yep. Representative Moriarty.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, I agree with what Sam just said, because this language is totally silent on the warranty. Much as we have had discussion at both work sessions about that issue and how we'd like to see it worked into the mix, it's not in this draft. So if we're going to put it in, I think we need some clearance before we do so.
Agreed. Thank you, Representative Moriarty. Senator Guerin.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, I have good news for Representative Perry, but maybe a little too late. There is an authorized Apple store in Bangor now. I did a little digging, and there are 5 independent places that are authorized Apple repair shops in Maine, and one of them is in Bangor. A little late for him, but good.
I was going to say, but when we
people
were
to
looking
know.
at, well, just to say, because it looks like independent repair providers can only perform out-of-warranty repairs. In the information that Representative Stetkis gave.
And I'm not sure about that. But
It says right there, yeah.
So one thing I was thinking about with your comments, Senator, about what are the requirements, it's hard asking individual owners because they may be not getting accurate information. So perhaps with the letter we were sending to DECD, we could have them look at what the requirements were and find out for us. So we would have like an overall view of what the companies look at.
Okay. Yep. Representative Daughtry.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I do want to sort of build off of what Representative Moriarty was saying, that I do feel, and please correct me, anyone on the committee if I'm wrong, that I think the bill sponsor intent was more concerned about the warranty. Because I don't think there's anything currently blocking anyone anywhere from opening this device. Literally, the only consequences is voiding the warranty, correct? Okay. So I do think no matter where anyone is on this, we should make sure that if there's an amendment, it does mention the warranty.
Okay.
If anyone can repair our mics, I will forever be grateful.
Sure. All right, so it seems like we have some more information for Sam to gather on us. Yeah, Representative Stetkis.
Thank you. I guess as long as we're asking the AG for information, I'd be interested to know if he's received any consumer complaints in this regard. Obviously, at our public hearing, we had a room full of people very concerned about this bill, and nearly nobody from our state was here in favor of it. So, and I think like a lot of other states, is this a big enough issue to open that can of worms? Not only a fiscal note to have either the AG's office or DECD to enforce something like this, the potential of future litigation, and like Senator Guerin said as well, that litigation we could be going it alone, which is extremely expensive. Does the situation that some people find themselves in rise to that level to spend the taxpayers' dollars in that way?
Yeah, well, I think we don't know that yet. So
Well, and that,
let's
I'd like to
not
ask
let's
the-
not freak out unnecessarily, Representative Stetkis. I think we can find the answers.
I thought I was
we can
fairly calm. I didn't think I was freaking out. But.
I think we can definitely find we can get our questions answered from the AG's office. Representative Austin.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We talked about getting the certification to do the repair work. Do we have a range? Do we know? I mean, it's been said that it's fairly expensive. Any business expense is expensive when you're trying to make a profit and run a business, but do we have any idea what that might be?
Representative Handy.
It's in the hundreds of dollars and then more, because you have to get recertified for a particular model. So if I get Apple's permission to repair as an authorized user, I can only repair iPhone 4s if that's what I apply for. If there's an iPhone 11, I think, out now, and I'd have to specifically get training for that. So what you're foisting upon small repair shops are bills that really don't need to be incurred by that person having to take those. So it's not as clear and simple, and I understand from some folks who've attempted at this, Apple kind of ups the ante every so often. Oh, you've got to take this, now you got to take that, now you got to take that. So the cost of small business is enormous. Thank you.
Thank you. I was going to say, just because it's brought by attention, I shouldn't have made light of your comment. I just thought we shouldn't speculate. To Representative Stetkis's comment, I'm sorry I used the expression freaked out unnecessarily. But I just wanted to be clear that I was just saying, let's not, I was trying to make a joke. I apologize if that was felt by anyone as being offensive.
I'm unoffendable.
Well, I sort of knew that, but I understand I offended other people, and what I wanted to let you know is that I really was just saying I don't think we need to jump to any conclusions that this is going to cause the state of Maine hundreds of thousands of dollars until we hear from the Attorney General's office. All right, Representative Daughtry.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think what you meant to say is you didn't want to put the case before the phone.
Ooh.
Okay, sorry. I couldn't pass that one up. I just wanted to throw out we're talking a lot about Apple, and as someone who has been using Apple products since Apple II, I sort of feel like we're unfairly picking on Apple, and I'd love to hear more because I mean, I don't know, I mean, around the committee, I don't think we all have iPhones, and there's more screens than just an iPhone. So we
Yep.
need to recognize that if we're having this conversation, it'd be really great to hear from other manufacturers. And I know there's unlimited, whether it's Asus or Samsung or Nokia, but this seems like it should be something, I have seen many bills that have come through these chambers, especially on the Education Committee dealing with student privacy, that were particularly geared to one manufacturer over another, basically pitting Microsoft versus Google, Google versus Apple, Alphabet versus Apple. So I would like to know if there's anyone in the audience that we can just make sure that we get more information about other products, because even though I don't think there's any phone better than an iPhone, I have to acknowledge they exist. Womp.
All right, so are we at a place where I think we've given Sam, Sam, do you have anything else? Sam, do you have anything else that you need direction from us to?
I don't think so. I'll find different warranty language and I will follow up with the Attorney General's office.
Okay, any other requests from committee members regarding information that we may need for our next work session? Representative Handy, Representative Daughtry.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think building off what I'd said, I'd be curious what other companies require for those repairs. Like, does Microsoft have a similar
Yep.
certified program for the Surface, or does fill in the blank? Just so that we know, because if we're talking about the right to repair any product, it should be all products.
Representative Handy.
Madam Chair, I move to table.
Thank you.
Second.
All right, motion and second to table. Motion by Representative Handy, second by Representative Daughtry. All those in favor of tabling LD 1977? Those opposed? All right, the motion carries. So we'll be tabling this work session until a later date. All right. And that wraps up our work for the day. Thank you very much, IDEA committee members. We will see everyone on Thursday.